In this section, I'm going to teach you guys how to create cel shaded art. But before we jump into that, I want to talk about what that is and when you might use it. So cel shaded art is when the shadows or your lighting is broken down into what are called cells or sections, right? So some examples of this would be a lot of popular cartoons such as Pokemon or Avatar, The Last Airbender. A lot of animes also use this style in their comic books or even TV shows, right? Where there's not a smooth transition between the shadow side and the light side. Oftentimes, there's just a stark contrasting line, right? There's the shadow, and then with a hard edge, there's the light. Right? That's what cel shading is. And it's called cel shading because they're broken down into cells, right? Each shape is its own cell, and that's being painted its own separate color, okay? Now, the reason they do this a lot in cartoons is because it's fairly easy to animate, right? It can be pretty difficult to have to animate smooth transitions between light and shadows or to draw that multiple times. But when you cel shade, you can very, very quickly portray light and shadow without having to spend a whole bunch of time rendering. So it tends to have a very graphic, cartoony sort of look, and the level that you want to take it is totally up to you. There's two-tone cel shading where there's basically only two tones of lighting. There's the light side and the shadow side. There's three-tone or even four-tone where you have multiple layers of shadow that get darker and darker and multiple layers of light. And you can do all sorts of rendering effects on top of that to get it as detailed or as simple as you want. But typically the strength of this sort of painting style is that it's usually very quick and very simple to get done, and you can pump out a lot of stuff. The other strength is that it's easy to animate because you don't have a lot of smooth edges and lighting effects that you have to work with. Downsides is that it's not often super detailed, and it's also not very realistic if that's what you're going for. So anyways, that being said, let's jump in and start learning how to paint in the cel shading style. I'll see you guys in the next lecture.